Welcome to Spam Filter for Your Brain, bite-sized ponderings on how our thoughts influence our behaviour and our lives, and because we're all connected, how our thoughts impact the world. I'm here to help people reconnect with their bodies and declutter their brains. And I don't believe that we should just magically know how our emotions and our thoughts impact our lives if no one ever teaches us. So let's learn this stuff together. This week I wanted to talk a little bit about why affirmations don't work and teach you something that does. And that is, rather than trying to move yourself through to this impossible kind of goal that you don't actually believe anywhere near could be possible for your life, my aim and the way that I use the work is to try and reverse engineer things a little bit and do things in the tiniest incremental steps. So one of the ways in which I do this, if you want to follow along for the ride, this is a workshop your way through version of the podcast. Try and find a thought that's bugging you or something that's going on for you and just try and identify it. It's probably easiest if you focus in on something that you think about yourself or something that you think you can do or can't do that's going on for you. Try and keep out of other people's stories for a moment. Generally in life, always good to try and keep out of other people's stories, but try and keep out of other people's stories for this bit and just try and focus it in on yourself and find a thought that's bugging you. And then try and work out what that thought is making you feel. And then flip that and reverse it. What would you rather be feeling in these circumstances? What would you rather feel emotionally about what's going on in this particular moment with this particular thing? And if you were feeling that thing, what would you need to be thinking? So once you've kind of identified the thought that you started with, the one that is you're not enjoying the repercussions of, and then you've got the other side of it, which is the thought that you'd love to have, which would generate an emotion that you actually want, you can kind of polarize these two thoughts and try and make some incremental steps between them. My teacher taught me this as being called the thought ladder, and I know there's other versions of it that are out there. The way that I do it is to get a blank piece of paper and I put the thought that I'm not enjoying very much at the bottom, and I put the thought that I want to get to at the top, and I try and make as many little incremental steps as I can to try and get there. And they have to be absolutely tiny, so tiny that hopefully your brain won't notice the shift that we're trying to create over time. So, for example, rather than sort of talking through this in just theoretical sense, I thought I'd sort of talk you through an example. And I was thinking about a common thought that I coach people on quite often, which is, I'm never going to get this thing done. Now, when you think, I'm never going to get this thing done, most people don't enjoy feeling that. They probably feel a bit frustrated, or maybe they feel a bit overwhelmed, or maybe they feel a little bit stuck. These kind of emotions are not emotions that are going to evoke actions that are going to get that thing done any more quickly. So just looking at what I might want to be feeling instead is maybe accomplished or peaceful or satisfied or confident. Any of these kind of feelings might be something that's going to motivate me towards more action or get me into a place where I'm way more likely to take action that is in my best interests. Now, if I were to be feeling confident, what kind of thing might I be thinking? Well, I might be thinking something like, I did the best I could with the time that I had. So these two thoughts seem really far apart, like I'm never going to get it done and I did the best that I could with the time that I had. But if we were to sort of plot them out on a map on a piece of paper and try and work our way between them, perhaps I could start with, I'm never going to get this done. And then I can add in the prefix of just noticing that that's a thought. So I'm thinking that I'm never going to get this done. And that gets us into watcher mode, takes us out of the pure heat of the emotion and being fully reactive. And then maybe I could think, I'd like to try and get this done, which is equally true. There's not much resistance to that. And I think my brain could access that quite easily. And then maybe I could sort of tiny tiptoe up to the thought, I'm willing to make an effort to try and get this done. Or maybe I could say something like, I'm willing to make a start. So rather than sitting there in procrastination, I'm willing to actually begin the thing. And then from there, once I've actually begun the thing, it's not that far much of a leap to go, I'm doing the best that I can. Once the momentum has been started and we're on a roll, that's something that I can probably quite easily stretch to, like I'm doing what I can in this moment. And so from there, obviously, it is not much of a leap to go to, I'm working on it. I am in the thick of trying to get the stuff done. And then if I am working on it, it isn't so much of a huge leap to go to a thought like, at least I've produced something. At least I've begun. At least I've started. And from there, it isn't much of a leap to get to. I did the best I could with the time that I have. So making these tiny, tiny, small steps, these things that seem really, really different can actually be mapped really, really quickly in these tiny little tiptoe steps. And the way that we learn and practice and rehearse these new thoughts is to be able to recite them, write them down on a piece of paper. I have been known to use the phrase that Post-it notes are tools of the revolution. Tapping your feet to it in the shower, however you could get something that is really reinforced in your brain, is the lightest sort of light touch version I could give you of how you can make things, the idea of what seems like affirmations, actually work for you in a really constructive way. This is something that I teach in depth at Self-Care School and really teach people how to identify where they want to be and how they can map their way through to the journey. That's what coaching is all about for me. And this is something I teach people to be able to do for themselves in their daily lives. If you'd like to know that, I'm sure you know where to find us by now, but it's selfcareschool.co.uk. And if you'd like a hand with anything like this, or you'd like an idea as to how to get your own thought ladder going, do drop me an email, let me know. Actually, inside Self-Care School, we actually have a magical robot that I wrote, and it's very much in my voice on how to sort of get these thought ladders started, so you can start from a thought that you are not enjoying very much and get yourself to a place where something is driving the kind of results and actions that you want in your life. And then all the steps in between can be prompted by, frankly, anti-capitalist, militant, feminist thoughts that are embedded in your own self-compassion. And I'll help you get there. So if that's your vibe, come on over to Self-Care School. I'd love to see you inside. I'll speak to you next week. If you've been enjoying what you're hearing on the podcast, you will love Self-Care School. Self-Care School is longer versions of this, more in-depth and more personalised. We have a whole hub of courses from body image to boundaries, perfectionism, time management, and a whole range of other topics. You name it, there's probably a course on it. But most importantly, we also have a weekly group coaching call where you get to apply this stuff to your everyday life and get support to try and untangle your own story from some of the emotions that you might not be enjoying in your life. If you would like to learn how to apply this work to your specific situation and to be building a life of your dreams,